Hello my friends all over the world, wherever you are. William Poloniak here again from Whole Health Foundation. Today I'm making a very simple juice with carrots, one medium-sized beet with tops, and red romaine lettuce. Let's take a look at some of the other ingredients. In addition to my carrots and my beets and romaine lettuce, I'm adding 150 grams of turmeric, one whole head of garlic, and some ginger. Now I'm using the Whole Health Foundation model juicer, and for greens I'm going to use the J-Grid. The Whole Health Foundation model has a solid base plate that has a lifetime warranty, and that enables you to get 10% juice. And you'll notice I'm using the front loading feed tube. You will never get blowback up to your ceiling. And I'm using the near zero blowback cutter, which has 80 teeth cut into the 5 blades. And we'll put that on. And then we'll start making juice. I'm going to start by plugging in my thermometer. And I just want to give you a little tip. Inside the sensor hole, just put a little dab of butter to lubricate it. And I'm going to start by putting 3 ice cubes through the feed tube to cool down the cutter and the feed tube. Here's the last of my lettuce. Now I'm going to clean my grid and switch to the number 2 grid, which is better for carrots and other produce. And after I clean this, I'm going to put it in the sink and clean it later. After I scrape the pulp off, that is. Put in the number 2 grid and continue with carrots and the rest of my produce. When you have small carrots, you can put them end to end, get 2 or 3 at a time in there. I'm going to alternate the carrots with my beets. And I'll follow that with my garlic. More carrots. More beets. Ginger, turmeric, then more carrots. Now here's the last of my carrots and the last of my produce. Now here's what I love about this front loading feed tube. You can see in here to see if the produce is shred or not, and it looks like some of the carrots are not shred as well as I want, so I'm going to put in a few fingers full of carrot pulp and force that last plug through. Next I'm going to unplug the thermometer, clean the grid and the feed tube, and then mix my produce and make some juice. It's a perfect fit for the feed tube. And also the front of the juicer. Now when I clean the front of the juicer, I use the same cleaning brushes I use for the feed tube and a sponge down here to catch the water. And I'm going to use the spray nozzle. You could use a wet towel, but I have a spray nozzle. Now I'm going to assemble the juicer. I always like to assemble it before I make juice. Put in the grid. I always put it in with either the J grid or the number 2 grid. I'm going to use the J grid. And after I clean my countertop, I'm going to mix my produce and make some juice. Next, I'm going to mix my produce by spinning the bowl in both directions. I get a very good mix that way. Now we'll make some juice and get some cloths from the freezer first. Now the first thing I do when I get my cloths out of the freezer is crack the ice to make them easier to take apart. And take them out of the plastic bag and put them into the folding tray. Next, we're going to put the cloths in the tray, leaving space up here for the folded cloths. And I'm going to pull it a little over the countertop so it doesn't hang on the countertop. Then we'll put about 3 scoops into each cloth. That's about a cup or a cup and a half approximately. Fold it in thirds, just like they came in the package. And put a little crease at the back to enable your folding, and fold it into as tight a package as you can. Set that aside, and let's prepare another cloth full of 3 scoops of pulp. And we're going to put these into the press. Into the press, centered left to right, centered front to back, adjust it if you need, all the way back, back it off a little bit, and turn on your machine. Now the reason you back it off a little is you don't want your cloths to slip apart. So let's prepare more cloths. And I'm going to demonstrate my 6-cloth, less work method. Here's my 6-cloth, less work method. This goes forward, that goes over, the spent cloths go on top. Now very important, centered left to right, centered front to back, adjust if need be, make sure it's on the press plate properly, all the way back, back it off a little bit. Now we're getting a little bit of puddling, but I'm not going to do anything about that yet. The 6-cloth less work method, never throw away your pulp. Put 2 scoops on top of the already pressed pulp, and later it's going to be 1 scoop because that patty's getting thicker and thicker. And when you're on your last cloth, especially after your first scoop, you advance that all the way. So 2 scoops. And my 6-cloth less work method again. This goes forward, that goes over, the spent cloths go on top. And we continue this way until we're done with all of the pulp. Centered left to right, make sure it's on the press plate properly, centered front to back, all the way back, back it up. Now because we have puddling, what I'm going to do is hold this very firmly with my left hand and very, very slowly pour it into your collection bowl. The reason I say slowly is the first time I did this, I got it all over my countertop and I lost all that juice. So we'll continue in the same way until we're done. But it looks like our collection bowl is full, and what I will do is put those into bottles and then continue. But first let's get this done. That's that all the way. Keep your eye on the bowl, you don't want it to overflow. 2 scoops. Six-cloth method. This goes forward, that goes over. The spent cloths go on top, but since the bowl is full, we'll put them into bottles, turn off the machine. Now I'm going to set this back, but not a little, a lot. I want it to be very obvious, because if you did it just a little, you would forget and possibly damage your tray. So set that back a lot, and we'll fill some bottles. Now I'm going to fill these bottles from the back so the camera gets a good look. And I'm leaving 10% to top off with water. I use distilled water. You could use filtered water or even bottled water. Now we'll pull the tray forward, make sure it's on the press plate properly, and go ahead with our 6 cloth less work method until we're done. Centered left to right, centered front to back. That's very important. All the way back, back it off a little. Turn on the machine and let's continue with our 6 cloth less work method. Now as you can see, I've repackaged all of the spent pulp. This is pulp that everyone would have thrown away had they not been told, and nobody tells you, except for me, that you can repackage and get about 10% more juice. Now we've already put the juice from this container into bottles, so we're going to use a measuring beaker to see how many more ounces of juice we can get, and we're shooting for 10% or more, which is pretty typical. Already I have 10 bottles, so let's put this into the press. Now I'll turn this on, back it off a little bit, and as soon as I get juice flow, and I'm sure these are not going to slip apart, I will advance that a little bit more. Like I said, make sure it doesn't overflow. Well, we've got about 3 ounces so far. Out. I might repackage those. They look like they still have juice in there. Put 2 more cloths in the press. Again, very important. Centered left to right. Centered front to back. All the way back. Back it off a little bit until we get traction. And while that's happening, I'm going to repackage these other packets because I can see there's still some juice around the edges. Now as you can see, I've repackaged this a second time, and we'll put it in the press and see if we can get any more juice out of this. So far we have 14 ounces, almost 15. All the way back, back it off a little bit. Well, we're getting a significant amount of juice. As long as you have a steady flow, leave it up. With this Whole Health Foundation bottom premium plate, you can leave it up as long as you want. And we have droplets, so let's back that off. And we'll put in 2 more cloths. And again, very important to make sure it's on the press plate and center this left to right, front to back, all the way back, back it off a tiny bit. And as soon as we get juice flow, we'll advance that all the way. Droplets, and we have 17 ounces. But because my container's full, I'm going to pour it into my collection bowl. And we have a couple more cloths we can press some juice out of. And I can see that we can package these a 3rd time, but I'm not going to do that to keep this video short. At home you can decide what to do yourself. So centered, all the way back, back it off a little bit. Yep, droplets, and as I suspected, 21 ounces. So let's set this back and put these into bottles, then we'll do a taste test. Now we have 12 bottles of juice, and I'm topping these off with water. I have distilled water here. You could use filtered water or even bottled water. And next we'll cap them and put them in the fridge. Now one of the last things we want to do is clean all the pulp off the cloths. But before I fold them, I want to point out that you should scrub the edges of your juice tray to get any loose pulp on there off. Most people almost never do this, and that's why they get a calcium buildup on their press plates. So we'll fold this into thirds just like they came in the package. And then we're going to press the water out. so that we can put them in the freezer and have them not go solid like a block of ice. And I've already got the rest of these folded. To the press, we'll use this collection bowl to collect the water all the way back, press the water off, and then put them in the freezer until we next need them. That's about all of the water out, and we'll put them in the plastic bag in the difference. Well, as you can see, we have 5, 10, 12 bottles of juice, plus enough for a taste test. And I remind you that 2 of these bottles came from repackaging and pressing the juice instead of throwing away that pulp. So let's do a taste test. Well, my friends, we have a very simple formula: carrots and romaine lettuce with a few ingredients like garlic, ginger, and turmeric, and 1 beet. Let's give it a taste. Delicious as usual. I can definitely taste the romaine lettuce. Well, my friends, I hope you like what you've seen. If you do, please tell a friend. If you'd like to call me to buy a juicer, to buy supplies, get advice, give me a call at 760-753-0321 or email me at developtrust@cox.net. And if you'd like to go to my webpage, it's wholehealthfound.com. See you in the next video.